The clock at Los Angeles Stadium hit 9 p.m. Inside the concrete tunnel, the air vibrated with the muffled roar of the crowd. Relebohile Mofokeng stood in the dim light. Bafana Bafana knelt to double knot his laces, his hands steady despite the noise. This was the round of 32. The weight of the moment pressed down, but no one spoke. The focus was absolute. Bronwyn Williams stood at the front of the line, his neck muscles tight, as he stared at the sliver of bright daylight at the end of the tunnel. He turned, scanned his teammates, and signaled with a sharp nod. The line shifted. They moved forward in unison. The smell of fresh-cut grass grew stronger with every step. Mofokeng took a final, deep breath, feeling the cold air fill his lungs. He stepped out from the shadows. The stadium lights hit him like a physical force. The pitch lay ahead, perfectly flat, waiting. He didn't look at the stands. He looked at the center circle. The whistle was coming. The whistle blew and the game settled into a relentless grind. Canada held their line, their formation tight and suffocating. Mofokeng moved along the right wing, his feet dancing over the surface as he searched for an opening. The ball moved between his boots with sharp, rhythmic clicks. In the 40th minute, the pressure finally cracked. He found a sliver of space near the edge of the penalty area. Two defenders closed in, their shadows stretching over the grass. Mofokeng feinted left, planted his foot, and cut hard to the inside. The move left the defenders stumbling, their reach falling inches short of the ball. He spotted the gap, shifted his weight, and struck the ball low and hard. The leather skidded across the turf, bypassing the reaching fingers of the goalkeeper. It hit the back of the net with a sharp snap. The sound of the stadium transformed into a singular, thunderous roar. Mofokeng sprinted toward the corner flag as teammates converged on him. The deadlock had shattered. The scoreboard flickered to 1-0. South Africa held the momentum, and the Canadian bench watched in silence as the game restarted. The second half opened with a surge of Canadian intensity. Their players moved with renewed urgency, pushing high into the defensive third. Every pass from Canada arrived with more pace, forcing the South African line to retreat toward the goal. Bronwyn Williams paced his area, arms waving, pointing to gaps that opened as the formation strained. He barked orders, his voice cutting through the noise of the crowd, keeping the defenders locked in their positions. In the 65th minute, a Canadian midfielder found room 30 yards out. He wound up and unleashed a curling shot toward the top corner. Williams saw the trajectory early, pushed off his back foot, and launched himself across the goal mouth. His glove made contact with the ball, redirecting it just enough to skim the crossbar and fly out for a corner. The impact jarred his shoulder, but he was back on his feet instantly. He punched the air, signaling his teammates to tighten the formation. Canada kept coming, launching high crosses into the box, but Williams claimed every ball rising above the chaos to pull them down. He gripped the leather, fell to the grass, and held it tight to his chest, draining seconds from the clock. The lead was narrow, but the wall held. The 75th minute arrived with Canada committing everyone forward. Bafana Bafana read the play, lunged into a tackle, and stripped the ball from a retreating Canadian midfielder. He immediately pivoted and threaded a long diagonal pass into the path of Mofokeng. The right wing erupted into motion. Mofokeng took the ball in stride, his boots hammering the turf as he outpaced the final defender. The stadium held its collective breath. Ahead, the Canadian goalkeeper charged out, arms spread wide to close the angle. Mofokeng did not hesitate. He slowed his pace just enough to draw the keeper closer, then slid the ball across the grass to his left. Maseko had followed the play perfectly. He arrived at the edge of the 6-yard box, ignored the closing defenders, and tapped the ball into the center of the open net. The scoreboard shifted to 2-0. The goal shattered the remaining Canadian resolve. Mofokeng turned and sprinted toward the bench, arms outstretched, as the roar from the stands became deafening. The match had reached its turning point. South Africa had secured the space, the time, and the advantage needed to rewrite their history. The final 10 minutes remained, but the outcome felt certain. The final 10 minutes demanded absolute focus. Williams commanded his penalty area, claiming every high ball launched into the box with steady, practiced hands. He refused to be rushed, waiting for his teammates to reset before restarting play. Each second ticked away as the defensive line held its shape, denying Canada any path to the goal. The referee hovered near the center circle, his gaze fixed on the stadium clock. At the final blast of the whistle, the tension vanished. The players collapsed onto the grass, chests heaving, limbs heavy with exhaustion. Relief washed over the group as the realization took hold. They had done it. Mofokeng rose from the turf, eyes wide, and pumped his fists toward the stands. The stadium erupted in a rhythmic, deafening roar. For the first time in history, Bafana Bafana had punched their ticket to the round of 16. Teammates swarmed the pitch, embracing in a tangled knot of victory. They stood together, looking up at the bright lights, knowing the record books would change tonight. This was no longer just a match. It was a legacy secured in the grass of Los Angeles.